My father had a minor heart procedure last month. Nothing life-threatening, but enough to put him in the hospital for 3 days. I was visiting him on the second evening, sitting in that uncomfortable chair next to his bed, watching him complain about the hospital food, the temperature of the room, the beeping machines, basically everything. My mother was there too, feeding him soup from a plastic container, wiping his mouth with a napkin, adjusting his pillow every time he shifted, all without him even asking. She wasn't performing. She wasn't looking for praise. She was just there, in that completely natural, unthinking way that only comes from decades of genuine care. When I got up to leave, I walked past the nurse's station and overheard something that stopped me in my tracks. One of the nurses said to my mother, "Your husband is lucky to have you. Most wives would be exhausted by now." And my mother, without even looking up from the chart she was reading, said something I'll never forget. She said, "No, I'm the lucky one. He understood 5 things about me that no one else ever did, and that's why I'm still here." I stood there in that hallway for a solid minute, just processing what she said. Here was a woman who had spent 40 years with this man, who was currently cleaning soup off his chin while he complained about Jell-O, and she genuinely believed she was the lucky one. Not because he was perfect, not because he was rich or handsome or easy, but because he understood 5 things. I went home that night and called my mother the next day. I asked her what those 5 things were. She laughed and said, "You want to write them down?" I said yes. And what she told me over the next hour wasn't about grand romantic gestures or expensive anniversaries. It was about the architecture of a man who becomes impossible to leave. Not because he traps her, but because he becomes the one place where she never wants to go anywhere else. Today, I'm passing those 5 things on to you. So get comfortable. Let's talk about what actually makes a woman stay. If you're getting something real from these conversations, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications. I'm building something here for men who want to understand loyalty and connection on a level that goes way beyond the surface. Next week, I'm going deep into the emotional signs that tell you she's starting to check out before she ever says a word. You need that one. Don't miss it. The first thing, he makes her feel safe being ordinary. Most men think they need to constantly entertain a woman. They need to be funny, exciting, surprising, impressive, always on, always performing. But what my mother told me was this. The man she couldn't leave was the one who made her feel beautiful on her worst days. The days when she was sick, bloated, cranky, wearing old clothes, no makeup, hair a mess. The days when she had nothing to offer, no energy to perform, no charm to display. She said most men love the version of a woman that is dressed up, happy, fun, and energetic. But the man who stays in love with the ordinary version, the tired version, the messy version, that man becomes her home. Because here's the truth about female loyalty. Women are exhausted from performing. They're exhausted from being pretty, from being pleasant, from being agreeable, from managing their appearance and their tone and their energy all day long. When they come home, they want to be with someone who doesn't require a performance. Someone who looks at them in sweatpants and messy hair and sees the same woman he saw at the party. Someone who makes her feel like her ordinary self is enough. That safety is rare. And when a woman finds it, she doesn't keep looking for better. Because better doesn't matter if ordinary feels like home. My mother told me about a time when she had the flu for 2 weeks. She was pale, she was weak, she smelled like medicine, and she said the most unattractive things a person can say. My father sat with her every evening. He didn't try to make her laugh. He didn't try to cheer her up. He just handed her water, adjusted her blanket, and sat there reading while she slept. She said, "That's when I knew. Not when he bought me jewelry, not when he took me on vacation, when he loved me at my ugliest." The second thing, he leads her emotions without controlling them. This is the distinction that most men never learn. My mother explained it like this. Most men either try to fix her emotions or they get overwhelmed by them. When she's sad, they either hand her solutions like a mechanic or they get quiet and distant because her feelings make them uncomfortable. But the man who understands her knows that emotions aren't problems to be solved. They're weather to be weathered. He doesn't try to talk her out of her sadness. He doesn't try to logic her out of her anxiety. He doesn't tell her to calm down or look on the bright side. He just holds the umbrella while she walks through the storm. She told me about a time when she lost her job. She was terrified, crying, convinced she was a failure. My father didn't say, "You'll find another job." He didn't say, "It's not that bad." He sat with her on the couch, let her cry into his shoulder, and said, "This is hard. I'm not going anywhere. We'll figure it out together." That "we'll figure it out together" was leadership. He wasn't fixing her. He was standing beside her while she fixed herself. He was leading the emotional temperature of the room by staying calm while she was not. And that calm, that refusal to panic when she was panicking, made her feel like she could survive anything. Because she wasn't alone in her chaos. She had a man who could hold the frame while she fell apart. And when she came back together, she knew exactly who had been standing there the whole time. Let me pause here and ask you something honest. When the woman in your life is emotional, do you try to fix her, or do you just stay with her? Drop the word stay in the comments if you're learning this. I want to know who's really hearing this. The third thing, he chooses her actively, not passively. My mother said this one hit her the hardest. She told me that most men think being in a relationship is enough. They think not cheating, not leaving, coming home every night, that is the choice. But it's not. That's just existence. Real choice is active. It's looking at her across the room and smiling because you still see her. It's bringing her coffee in the morning without being asked. It's reaching for her hand in the car even when you've been married for 20 years. It's introducing her to people with pride in your voice. It's defending her when someone makes a joke at her expense. It's making plans that include her before she asks. It's saying no to opportunities that would take you away from her too often. My father, she said, chose her every single day, not in big dramatic ways, in tiny, boring, consistent ways. He chose her when he called her at lunch just to see how her day was. He chose her when he turned down a golf trip because she wasn't feeling well and he wanted to be home. He chose her when he looked up from his newspaper and actually listened to her story about her coworker. She said, "A woman can feel the difference between a man who is just present and a man who is actively choosing her. And when she feels chosen, she stops looking for options because she already has the one she wants." The fourth thing, he grows in front of her eyes. This one surprised me. My mother said that the man who becomes impossible to leave is the man who doesn't stop evolving. Not because she demands it, but because she needs to feel like she's with someone who is still becoming. She said my father learned to cook in his 50s because she was tired of always making dinner. He started reading books she recommended even though he preferred newspapers. He went to therapy after his own father died because he didn't want to pass his unprocessed grief onto his children. He asked her opinion about business decisions. He admitted when he was wrong. He changed his mind when she showed him a better way. She said, most men think that once they get married, they can stop growing. They think their wife signed up for who they were on the wedding day. But I didn't sign up for a statue. I signed up for a person. And watching him become a better man year after year, that made me want to keep choosing him too. Because he wasn't stagnant. He was alive. And being near someone alive makes you feel alive too. The fifth thing, and this is the strongest one, he makes her feel like home, not the house, not the address, not the furniture, home. That feeling of being completely, utterly, safely yourself. My mother said that in 40 years, she never once felt like she had to be someone else around my father. She never had to manage his ego. She never had to walk on eggshells. She never had to hide parts of herself to keep the peace. She could be angry, she could be silly, she could be wrong, she could be brilliant, she could be quiet, she could be loud. And he was just home, the place she returned to, the place that smelled like safety, the place where her nervous system finally exhaled. She said most people think love is fireworks and passion and excitement, but real love, the kind that makes you impossible to leave, is the feeling of finally being able to put your bags down, of finally being able to rest, of finally being able to say, "I'm home," and mean it in your bones. My father wasn't perfect. He forgot birthdays. He snored. He had opinions that drove her crazy, but he was home. And when a woman finds home, she doesn't go looking for a better neighborhood. She renovates the one she has. So there you have it. 5 things that my mother told me in a hospital hallway after 40 years of marriage. 5 things that have nothing to do with money, looks, or perfection. 5 things that are about safety, leadership, choice, growth, and home. Use this knowledge with respect. Use it to become the kind of man who doesn't need to worry about her leaving, because she won't want to, because you'll be the one place she never wants to leave. If this conversation hit you in the chest, hit that like button so more men who need this can find it. Subscribe and turn on the bell if you want to keep going deeper on connection, loyalty, and becoming the kind of man who builds something that lasts. Drop a comment below with the number of the thing that hit you the hardest. And if you know a guy who's constantly worried about losing her, send this to him. Not because he's weak, but because he deserves to know what actually works. Until the next time we talk, stay calm, stay growing, and stay home. This is Mind of Connection. I'll see you soon.